Hello again. Welcome to another edition of Media Watch. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait.
I'm Bob Anthony. Good to see you again, Eric.
Hey, always a pleasure, Bob. And as usual, we're taping the Wednesday before our Monday air. It's being brought to you by the good graces of EVT Educational Productions, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and Zoom's capability. And so we're basically going to go revisit some stuff that we've done in the past. And right now, a lot of bills have been stalled in the federal government. We've heard about the infrastructure bill, and we've heard about the John Lewis for the People Act and the voting rights bill and all those bills. But the one that never even got to Congress was the police reform bill, right, Bob? Because Cory Booker, who's been trying to work with all kinds of Republicans over the years to get police reform started, just can't seem to get even a fellow African-American like Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina, to actually do something in good faith. And Cory Booker, who has immense patience, as we both know, Bob, finally threw in the towel with Tim Scott back in September, I think. And I don't know, do you have a statement handy?
Cory Booker, the senator from New Jersey, he's, he went into this with a lot of ambition, thinking that there was an opening here to get stuff done, and thinking that Tim Scott would be the right person to reach across the aisle with to get something done. But I saw something in Mother Jones. It just came up a little while ago. I don't know if that's the same story you saw. Cory Booker reveals where things went wrong with Tim Scott on police reform.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I'll just read some snippets. In an exclusive interview with Mother Jones, Senator Cory Booker confirmed what many people, including myself included, and that's the author Natalie Baptiste, believed to be true. The bipartisan police reform bill fell apart because Senator Tim Scott, Republican out of South Carolina, was resistant to sweeping changes to policing. And this is obviously, let me pull out the quote that I saw. But it turned out that my Republican negotiating partner was not willing to embrace so much of the change we had agreed upon. So it's, he had the carpet pulled out from under him. Is that the same reading that you got?
Yeah, pretty much. I think Cory Booker got sandbagged and strung along by Tim Scott. That's what I think. Reading between the lines of a number of the reports that came out during the course of those negotiations, where Cory said, yeah, Tim Scott seems to want to make this happen. It looks like between the two of us, we might be able to get this over the goalpost. Quotes to that effect. I'm paraphrasing here. And then Booker realized he was being strung along and just said, you know what? I'm not going to play this game any longer. We're going to have to start.
And the author makes a good point. The two senators, both Black men, who've had plenty of negative encounters with law enforcement, had been working together to craft, etc. So, these are two folks who have seen a lot of the same thing.
Yes.
And Cory thought that there was an opening here to get something real done through negotiation.
Interestingly enough, the thing that, because I was following this carefully, Booker gave up one of the key parts of that bill just to try to get Tim Scott to come to the table with a bill they could work on. And that was the qualified immunity piece of that puzzle. And we've done shows on qualified immunity in the Supreme Court that instituted that stupid ruling. I call it stupid because it let police off the hook no matter how egregious their crimes are. They can't face anything. Everybody else is accountable for their actions in some form or manner in a court of law, except police officers.
Do you have like a pocket definition, a short definition of what that?
Paraphrasing way it's translated, a cop can do almost anything because under the guise of he thought he was in good standing in his belief that this person might be committing a crime, might be a potential suspect for committing a crime, even if they go to the wrong house by mistake and do egregious things to people because they thought they were doing the right thing, they're not liable for any kind of prosecution or any kinds of legal lawsuits. That's qualified immunity. Of course,
so it's kind of a best intentions type of ruling.
Kind of that, yeah.
Okay.
We thought we were right. We were in good stead
That's
because we thought this was a suspect. We thought this was the suspect's place. Qualified immunity, Supreme Court put that in. I forget when we did the show. I think Alan Singer was on with us, pulled out the entire year, whenever it happened. The bottom line is that they took off the table to try to get this thing across the finish line. And that's the most egregious part of the whole police reform, as far as I'm concerned. That needs to be in any bill. But interestingly enough, we can segue from that national thing, because I just saw a story just today while I was trying to do a recap on some of these egregious policing, and an Iowa appellate court, I believe it was the eighth appellate court in Iowa. They allowed a fellow by the name of DeJuan Haynes, last name is Haynes, to proceed with a lawsuit against 2 Iowa police officers. And basically what the lawsuit said was, no, they violated me, violated my rights with no real legal grounds, etc. I want to sue them. And the Iowa police people union and city said, no, they're qualified immunity. They're cops. They were in their right, even though they were wrong, they were in the right. Qualified appellate court. And I'm going to call that article up and read a quote from the judges because it's just amazing. Appellate court said pretty much that the suit could proceed and there would not be qualified immunity because, quote, these are the judges I'm quoting, once all reasonable belief that Haynes was armed or dangerous was dispelled, he was kept publicly displayed, pants undone, in handcuffs for no legitimate purpose. The majority wrote in the decision, requoting, Haynes was not threatening in any respect. He was a model of politeness and cooperation, end of quote. And so those judges said, no, y'all were terrible to this man. You didn't need to do what you did. And so you're not going to have qualified immunity. That suit will proceed. That's rare in this country, any state in this country.
The words you just quoted are just stunning because they don't come from the defense attorney. They come from the judges. A model of cooperation. Is that, what were the words?
A model of politeness and cooperation.
And cooperation.
But of course, the flip side of that actual positive thing was, in a dissenting opinion, Judge Bobby Shepard noted that Haynes was only handcuffed for 5 minutes. So one of the judges says, oh, no, it wasn't so bad. Even though his pants was left unzipped, they were shoving their hands down his pockets publicly, making the man humiliating the man. This other judge says, nah, it was only 5 minutes. But of course, he was held for 11 minutes. So half of the time he was being humiliated publicly. The rest of the court said, yeah, y'all gonna get sued. We're gonna let this suit proceed. So that's very rare when cops don't get their qualified immunity card punched. This appellate court said, no, we ain't punching that card for you this time. But this goes to why there is this great need for police reform nationally and why we need a national law that can start to actually set standards for what police could and can and cannot do. You and I know that there is probably the most egregious case just popped up, what, I think on October 11th. Let me see if I can call that one up. Or this is the case in Dayton, Ohio, right? Bob, you remember that one?
Yes.
I'm going to look for the video. You can see if you can give the background to our viewers while I look for that video.
Yes, I mean, this was a Black man who was stopped by police in Dayton, Ohio. I forget the date, but the police initially pulled him over, I believe, for tinting, the level of tinting on the glass in the car. And
Yeah.
I guess there were limits in different districts on how much tinting you can have.
And there was
And
a kid in the back seat who was not in a child
in a child seat. Yes, there was a kid not in the child seat. And so at one point, the officer tells the gentleman and the driver to get out of the car.
Oh yeah.
The black gentleman explains, "I am a paraplegic." And I'll let you explain where it goes from there, Eric.
Yeah, matter of fact, you know what I'll do? I'm going to try to roll in the first 38 seconds of a clip that showed up. It's a local station in Ohio, in Dayton, that actually posted this stuff, and we took it off the web. Here, let me roll this thing in. Let me see if I can share the screen before I start to roll it in, so that our viewers can actually see it better. Okay.
And while you do that, I'll just explain that he repeats to the officers numerous times that I am a paraplegic, so I can't just get out of the car. And the police proceed to say that if you're not going to get out, we're going to pull you out.
And here's the video. This is some egregious stuff. Paraplegic, bro. You can hurt me. You can hurt me, bro.
Disturbing footage of Ohio police officers ripping by his hair a paraplegic man out of his vehicle.
Somebody help!
Newly released by the Dayton Police Department, the edited body cam video captures Clifford Owensby repeatedly saying he's paraplegic.
I'm a paraplegic. I get it.
You're making it so much harder than what it has to be.
This difficult scene includes footage of two officers dragging Owensby across the asphalt to their cruiser. Dayton police initially pulled him over in a traffic stop. The department's edited footage shows the officers checking his window tint.
His windows at 20%.
And then questioning him about a toddler in the back seat.
So that's, I mean, I don't even want to. Let me see if I can end the screen share. But it was a lengthy exchange between these people. We're not going to run that video that long because they're going to get us for.
Yes.
But
we're limited to what we can
use-
show on account of the
right.
fair use rules, right?
But the bottom line was, he explained to them, I'm a paraplegic. I can't be getting out the car for you to do whatever. But, you know, why don't we call your supervisor so that we can explain it, so you won't feel like you're, and they were having none of that. You can see what they were doing. I can't even begin to, if we played that video and you heard how disrespectful, well, you saw snippets of them dragging him on the pavement to their cruiser. Now, after they yanked him out of his car, threw him down on the pavement and handcuffed him, instead of just leaving him there since he's a paraplegic, they now have to drag him to their cruiser to assert their authority. And it was just so horrendous. So
the incredible, I mean, just the indignity of first being grabbed, then being dragged, none of that necessary to keep him under control. A paraplegic sitting on the curb is of no danger to anyone. And they could have just left him there and questioned him. And what we see is what actually happened.
That's
edited, by the way.
Yeah, that was the local station, whoever posted that stuff. I'm happy they posted it so the rest of the world can see what Cory Booker has been talking about in the Senate chamber and been trying to negotiate for, lo and behold, I can't say how long. And of course, the qualified immunity part, the fact that there's no standards, the whole, look, rather than me just rant and rave, what are other examples of some you got a couple of links there, Bob, that we should let our people know about?
I guess we had spoken about before we went on air about that Louisiana case of the, I believe the officer who tried to basically be a whistleblower. and because of the arrest of the death of a Black man in custody,
Body
which the
camera
police,
footage that,
yes, the
yes,
police initially said he died of a car crash, and it took what, Eric, 2 years for the
years,
footage to come out to show
for this
that he was beaten.
Right. And that officer, if you can pull up that story, we could.
I'll try to pull that
name
up, sure.
that officer being in the department. This is Louisiana State Troopers, by the way, folks. He understood that there's something was wrong about that case, and it was just one of many. And so he started blowing the whistle. And of course, he has now filed suit because he said he has been retaliated against by his department, and things have gotten miserable for him on the job since he brought it to the attention of his higher ups about the unprofessional procedure that's been going on in his office.
And what's interesting about this case, and you already explained the background, it was he spoke out against the cover-up of Ronald Green's death. A Louisiana State Trooper named Carl Cavalier, 33.
Right.
The interesting thing about this suit, and like you said, Eric, he became the target once he started talking about instances of racism and undue pressure. He became the target in his department, and he was transferred. He was basically told to shut up. And this suit he filed by himself. It says that he filed it without an attorney.
Right.
So he's flying solo against the department, which I find amazing. That
yeah, I'm with you on that. He needs to reach out to somebody like what's the civil rights attorney, Ben Crump?
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to reach out to Crump or somebody.
Well, or any other. It seems to me Ben Crump handles everything. I'm sure there's more than one civil rights attorney in the U.S.
Yeah, but Crump's now have a staff of other lawyers helping him. So
okay.
So go to the guy who,
yes,
and
at least get a referral.
In the day, everybody be running for Johnny Cochran, and now everybody's running for Ben Crump. So, but.
Yes,
so,
not to be glib, but you're right. He needs some support.
Yeah, he needs folks who know what they're doing and can deal with the folks who are, but so there's that one, and then there's the other most egregious one, but where actually there were two links that I shared, Bob, and it's back in your old stomping grounds out in Minneapolis, right?
My stomping grounds were in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, right,
yes.
right. But that Midwest M city,
yes.
right?
Yes,
right. But we know Minneapolis. I mean, George Floyd's death kicked off the big push for police reform. Okay, and that's why Booker thought he had an opening with Tim Scott, the whole bit. Well, it turns out, folks, that during the course of the rioting, when people were up in arms about how George Floyd died, all those urban disturbances and uprisings that took place, Minneapolis was, of course, ground zero. And it turns out that body camera footage has just recently been released. And during the course of the riot, uprisings, anger being vented about the mistreatment of Black and brown people by the Minneapolis Police Department. There were some footage where you can hear the Minneapolis Police Department talking about, oh yeah, it's a new change here now. Now we're out hunting. We're in the hunting mode now. And basically, there were instances on body camera of them either pepper spraying or doing all kinds of stuff to the rioters and then high-fiving each other about another Actually, it was worse than pepper spraying. They were using rubber bullets. And it turned out that a lot of this stuff came out because a young man who was licensed to carry a weapon had it with him, and this unmarked van, people opened fire on him. He got hit with a rubber bullet, thought he was hit with a weapon, didn't know who was firing it, and fired back. And so they came out and arrested him. When he realized there were police officers, he just put his gun down and told them, hey, you're in an unmarked van, I have no idea. And they basically roughed him up and did whatever they did. And in the course of all this, when he filed the suit, all this body camera footage came out. So it turns out that their conversations about hunting people, and now we're no longer, I'm paraphrasing. If you got that article, maybe you can quote some of it, Bob.
Okay, I'll try to find it, but I think I still have the link, but
the bottom line was, I believe it's a mayoral election coming up. And so the mayor was incensed when he saw that. And he said, oh no, this is unacceptable. We're going to have to get to the bottom of this. And we're going to make sure people are held accountable. Well, the people running against him said, that's just words. These people have been doing crazy stuff like this for years. And you haven't done anything. And you haven't done anything since those riots when they were doing these things. So the mentality, though, of those police officers about now it's time to hunt these civilians. Oh yeah, there's a good headline for you right there. Said they were hunting civilians as they responded to the George Floyd protest.
And like you said, Eric, these are their own words. We're not putting a word in their mouth.
Yep. These aren't reporters. This is their words from their body camera footage and audio.
The body camera footage was first released by lawyer Eric Rose, whose client Jaleel Stallings was acquitted last month in just what you were talking about, Eric, in an incident in which he fired his gun at police during the demonstrations after officers in an unmarked van had fired rubber bullets at him. Stallings said he fired his gun in self-defense. So,
yeah, he didn't know there were cops. So this whole bit about policing and police departments being seriously out of control when they're dealing with Black and brown people, the evidence of it is rampant. We've covered it over and over again on Media Watch. We've had experts come on and talk to us about it. We've had lawyers come on and talk to us about it. And it doesn't happen just in the Midwest, even though there seems to be a plenitude of Midwestern craziness between Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Dayton, you name it. They all seem to have police departments who don't know how to police without beating up on Black and brown people. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that, because we're seeing all these evidences, all these instances in the news all over the place. And so I don't know.
I mean, as a techie, I'm just happy to see the widespread use of body cams because they answer so many questions right away. I've seen incidents where, let's see, I believe it was that female state trooper who shot someone, she says by accident. I think she's been fired since, but you can hear other people in the background talking about turn off your body cams. I mean, it's good when we get the evidence because it's there, but it's not, not perfect, Eric, but I'm glad to see that at least some of these videos amount to something.
Not perfect is correct, because that Louisiana, it took 2.5 years, 2 years to get that Louisiana body cam footage. This George Floyd footage with these guys hunting civilians, that just came out now because of the suit that Stallings filed, or in his trial when he was trying to say, I shot in self-defense. Let's get some camera footage about what went down. And here we go. Oh, it's time to hunt these civilians. Just bad stuff. Look, there's one other legal case that I think we should at least touch on, and that's the the shooting in Texas. How much time do we have? We got about 3-4 minutes.
We have about 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
Okay. Remember that shooting in Texas last week
At the high school,
at the high school, right?
at Timberview High School, yes.
Out a Dallas suburb, I think.
Yes, Dallas suburb.
And that story caught my eye because the mother posted on Facebook right after her son got arrested. And it was a very poignant plea where she said, "This is not my son. My son is a very studious, almost mild-mannered individual, but he just transferred from private school to this public school. And since he got there, he's been bullied, he's been robbed, she ran a litany of stuff that happened to this kid. And the backdrop to it was his father had been brutally killed. And so he has that in his back of his head. I don't want to make excuses for somebody taking a gun to school and shooting people.
Same here.
But what she was saying was he had been bullied. He was pretty much what the cops usually say, "I was in fear of my life." You remember the police line? Yeah. "I feared for my life. That's why I shot this black man." This kid basically took a gun to school because he was afraid of being bullied and whatever. The bottom line was there may be something to it because, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they let him out on bond even though 4 people got injured?
They let him out on, I believe it was $75,000 bond. And that's so unusual in a case like this, to actually release the suspect.
Yeah, the school said that they were going to investigate what his mother said about having been bullied in their school and therefore feeling threatened. And so that they weren't saying, "No, he's innocent." They said, "We need to investigate this." And so I wanted to talk about the fact that, we need to hold judgment on that story and see what that investigation is and see what comes up when this kid goes to trial.
But it's good that somebody's listening. And like I said, can't justify the gun in school.
Yep.
But the backstory deserves some attention.
Yeah, we do.
And we have about 30 seconds.
So you say we got 30 seconds? Well,
yes.
Guess what, folks? This had been another edition of Media Watch. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait.
I'm Bob Anthony. Catch up to us on Twitter and YouTube at Media Watch EVT.
And please stay safe, wear a mask, watch out for the Delta variant. Please get vaccinated. Don't listen to the bogus craziness that says vaccines will make you impotent. There's no proof of that. And so therefore, we will catch you the next time, folks.